Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One and O podcast. I'm Avery Hill.
I'm Lexi Linderman.
I'm Will Horseman.
Yesterday, Penn State got a big commitment in Amare Campbell from North Carolina. That was the biggest story of the day, obviously, but there were some other things going on. We have some recruiting things we'll talk about today, and we'll have an overall portal overview. So, guys, my first question to you is, what was your initial reaction to the Amare Campbell commitment, and do you think it really moves the needle for Penn State at the linebacker spot?
Um, I think that it was a really good get for Penn State. I think it was a really important get for Penn State. Um, I think for me, obviously he's a great player. He's one of the top linebackers in the portal, so obviously just a huge get in that regard. But also, I think just a huge get and for the program. I think it just kind of shows this spring and the winter kind of shown the alignment that James Franklin really has with Pat Kraft and the entire university. He's spoken at length about it multiple times. I think it's one of those things where it's like he wanted a linebacker in the portal, and Pat Kraft was like, "Go ahead." I'm sure getting Amari Campbell wasn't cheap. Like I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure he wanted money, and they gave it to him, and so I think that that speaks volumes. Just going forward, I also think it speaks volumes is they saw like another hole in the roster. Franklin called out he wanted to address it, and then they addressed it. And I think that for fans, that is really important and interesting going forward, just because I think they think this is the year. It's looking more and more like Natty or Busme said that so many times. Now they fill the linebacker hole. Well, the only like kind of hole I even still see on the roster is defensive tackle, but still like they're solid enough that position where it's not really that big of a concern. But I just think the more Campbell get as a whole, obviously he's a great player that's gonna be huge for defense, but just also just shows so much about the program and the team going forward.
Yeah, so them getting linebacker Amare Campbell, I mean, it's that two really good spring portal additions in a row. I mean, it's like James Franklin right after the blue white game pretty made it pretty clear that he wanted to get some depth and kind of mentioned that he felt like he had enough talent in that room, but might not have enough depth to for a full season of play. And I think Penn State now they got one of the last remaining like holes on the roster, and it's kind of like Lexi said, like it really kind of is natty or bust this season.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off of that, I think the biggest thing I noticed from Amari Campbell is just that Penn State needs to fill that Mike linebacker role, and I don't see what else he's in there to do. Obviously, he had what 11 and a half tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. He showed the ability to kind of come down and blitz and things like that. But I mean, as you guys kind of said, it's that like natty or bust. That's really what it's been shaping up to be when you saw all the guys returning, Nick Dawkins, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Denai Dennis Sutton, among many other names, Key Wheatley, to mention another one. I think that kind of proves the point. Like they're willing to do whatever. Mark Campbell is pretty raw, has what 3 total years of experience, so he does have at least another year or two left for him to play. So I mean, he's going to be one of the gets that Penn State might be able to stretch out to another year. Obviously, looking at Trevor Pena, he's in his what sixth season, so he won't really have that chance to extend into another season. But staying on the topic of Amari Campbell, Will, I know you did the film review. What did you see from him, and how does
Yeah,
he fit?
yeah. So he's a really nice tackler. Like he has great form. He gets low. He gets his hands on the ball carrier, brings him down. He had just a 9.6% missed tackle rate this past season, so he is I have no concerns of him being able to tackle. I think he's a nice kind of like replacement with like Kobe King, who was a pretty good like run stuffer and out of the inside linebacker. With him going off to the NFL this offseason, but and then Campbell can also blitz from his inside linebacker spot. Like UNC kind of they brought him in on just some straight line, just vanilla like pass rushes, but then they also mixed in some like stunts that he often got to the quarterback, and think he had like an 84 PFF pass rush grade. And but my only one issue with him is like sometimes he just seems like he's hesitant or like doesn't know it like sometimes like misreads the play, and which is kind of almost kind of infuriating to watch because I know like if he gets his hands to the ball carrier, he, like that often is going to be a tackle, but sometimes it's like he misreads like where like a blocker is going to go and kind of just makes the opposing like blocker's job a lot easier. And but besides that, it's like I think he'll probably contribute a good chunk in the rotation this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that's interesting about that is like that flaw that you kind of see with that hesitancy. It could be, his instincts. Like again, as we said, like I know this is the most that he's played, like again, 76 tackles, 11 and a half tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. Like this was his, full-time year for him to really get going. And obviously he was also playing for the North Carolina program, which had to go to Bill Belichick for a reason. I think it'll be very interesting to see how he fits into the Penn State defense. Obviously, Penn State fans are probably looking for a guy that can replace Kobe King and that will look like, the guys of the past of, LBU, which is James Franklin's whole pitch, and Amare Campbell's committed post. He said LBU, there was really nothing else to say. But kind of going off of that, I want to go into the portal as a whole. Again, in the spring portal, Penn State got Trevor Pena from Syracuse. They get Amare Campbell from UNC. Lexi, I know you mentioned that the defensive tackles position isn't one that's shored up, but do you think Penn State made it out well in this portal window?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the biggest thing that Penn State always does in the portal is they like to find a need and address it. That's kind of what they've done throughout Franklin's entire tenure since the transfer portal has really become a big thing. And I think that they did a pretty much perfect job this spring in seeing what holes were in the roster and addressing those holes. Like obviously, like I said, defensive tackle still I think it's a little shaky, but like Lyle kind of said last week, like if Franklin thought that like that was like an issue, like I think he would have said it up front. Like we saw with the linebackers, obviously after the blue white game, he was like, we need like there was concerns and we're gonna address the issue. Like he didn't say that with defensive tackle. And so I think they knew pretty clearly like what they wanted to go get. I mean, Pat Kraft even said in February, like we all know we need a wide receiver in the portal, so we're gonna go get one. They go and they get Trevor Pena. So I think the biggest thing is them sticking true their word. Is really good to see for fans, obviously. And then also just the way they were able to go. It's not like they went and got like just a wide receiver in the portal. Like they got one. They got one of the top in the portals. One of the biggest in the portal. Same thing with the linebacker position. They also two Virginia guys. They're I think Tony Ross is thrilled to have Amari Campbell on the roster. He can't stop tweeting about it.
He was going for
Um,
it. He was hyped for that for the whole time. It's like he was first like gotta come, gotta come. Now he's like I'm balling with my guy. Like I mean, I think I saw a tweet saying he might be the happiest man in Happy Valley. He probably is, honestly. It'll be interesting to see, and it seems like they complement each other as well
mm,
because like obviously if it's somebody you've played with, obviously you want to play with them again. But I still feel like Tony would be a little hesitant if he was a guy that could just take his spot. I think that it could very possibly be Amari Campbell, Tony Ross as the two linebackers in that 4-2-5.
yeah, for sure. I definitely think yeah, Tony Ross is very happy. But yeah, just overall I think they did a great job on with the spring portal because also kind of like Joel said a couple weeks ago, like it's like you can need a position. That doesn't always mean the guys are gonna be there. And I think there weren't a ton of guys this spring that they could go out and get. And so the fact they were able to go out and get two of the guys that they really had their eye on, it's just speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I think kind of going off of that, I want to shift into the high school recruiting part of this. While all of this is going on, while Penn State's trying to fill its holes on its current roster, we saw a lot of movement in the 2026 recruiting class. Obviously, the biggest one would probably be Terry Wiggins, the four-star linebacker. But most recently, you have Matthew Lamb, another linebacker, three-star linebacker, which just seems like a compliment to the work Dan Connor has been doing right now as he officially took over as a linebackers coach, but how do you guys think Penn State has done in terms of their 2026 recruiting, especially in this recent run?
I mean, yeah, Dan Connor is having a pretty good run this past few weeks with getting, I mean, obviously Campbell from the portal, but also Matthew Lamau in the class 26 and what's his name?
Terry
Terry
Wiggins.
Wiggins. Yeah. Yeah, I'll rest.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like you said, like Dan Connor's having very good like hot streak this past few weeks with getting obviously Campbell from the portal, but also Matthew Lamau in the class 26 and Terry Wiggins. And think think these are two very good because I mean Penn State, they've obviously been very good at recruiting the DMV area and PA, of course. So it's like it's two recruits that are pretty highly ranked, and it's good to just keep those pipelines coming and just like get LBU, keep that tradition going.
Yeah, I was thinking it's just since the end of March they have 6 commits, and I think it's interesting. 4 of them are 3 stars, and then quarterback Peyton Falzone and linebacker Terry Wiggins are both 4 stars. I just think it's interesting how like they've been on a hot streak. Like there's no really other way to put it. Like they're going out, they're getting the guys they want. I mean, they even had Brandon Arrington in town for an official visit, like the number 9 player in the country, and I think
Not related, by the way,
he's
just for anybody
like
wondering.
just
Keep going.
related to LeVar. Um, he seems interested for sure. And Pecker has Penn State in his top 3 alongside Alabama and Ohio State. So I think they're hot on the recruiting trail right now. And I think pretty last time I checked, I think was a couple days ago, the 2026 class was ranked number 4 nationally. Obviously Franklin's classes are usually like low top 10, like 10 to 15 range, like pretty much every year. But so like if they bring in like a top 5 class, like that's legit. And that's also big, obviously with the guys leaving this year, a lot of guys are leaving. So I think it's just really important for the retool and rebuild of Penn State, just in general. I mean, they obviously bring in good classes every year, like I said, but I really just think like they're hot on the trail right now. I think they're gonna keep it going.
Yeah, I kind of like that point you made about them trying to retool after what will be this year. Because again, we talk about it, it's natty or bust. That means you're going all out. A lot of your guys only have 1 year left. You kind of have seen this in previous years with Michigan bringing back like Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, who somehow got worse throughout his career. Just wanted to throw that in there. And just other teams. Ohio State, of course, had a lot of guys. JT Tuimoloau. We're
Here we
close
go.
enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. We're close enough. Like it feels like he's been in college football for like honestly since James Franklin's been at Vanderbilt. Like I've seen him for so long. So so they're honestly going to need to retool, as you said, number 4 recruiting class in the country for the 2026 class. They have plenty more time to kind of make some more moves. But yeah, it would be kind of interesting to see are there any spots that you think Penn State should really be targeting for that class? Obviously, they already have Peyton Falzone at quarterback. Kevin Brown, one of the best offensive tackles in the country. Are there any other positions that you think Penn State needs to immediately get a guy to step up at, or?
Mm, I think maybe like defensive line. Like I think that could be one. I also think maybe maybe running back. I mean, obviously the room is loaded right now, but right now I think the only commit is Messiah Mickens, if I have that right. And like he's locked down. For him, he's locked down. But Jay Sider stopped by his house this past week again. So I don't know. Like it
Hey.
just seems like Notre Dame just not going away in this recruitment. But I think yeah, I think the defensive line, I mean the recent commit on the defensive line was who was unranked at the time of his commitment, then immediately became a 3 star by 247. So make of that what you will. But I think defensive line is definitely one that stands out. But I think they're pretty like they have 2 QBs in the class. They have Troy Hune and Peyton Falzone, both 4 stars. I think both could be really good. For sure, Troy Hune's been getting a lot of praise. I think he was just invited to like the Under Armour All American. Is that what it's called? I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
know. Yep, All
I'm
American
not
game.
entirely. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he was just invited to that. So I think I think defensive line is kind of the one that I see just off of like first glance and like my knowledge that I haven't like looked too deep in 2026 class though.
I mean, yeah, there's only D line commits, obviously Isaac, but so they could probably use another one. Also, like cornerback, they only got Julian Peterson, and then for running back I'd like them to get another running back because I mean Messiah Mickens, yeah, it's like shut down his recruitment, but like John Sider just keeps on kind of visiting him. So he definitely, I don't think I don't think he'll flip because he is a Harrisburg native, but he probably, but it could getting a second running back would be good, even regardless, even if Mickens stays in the class.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, like him being that Harrisburg native and him kind of locking down his commitment, like I say kind of because like there's no lockdown until you sign. And even then, I don't even think I think the signing is it's a lot different now than it was before. Before, you sign letter of intent, you're locked down. You have no choice of getting out. I mean, Penn State's seen kind of similar things actually last summer with Alvin Henderson, also known as A Train. Obviously, he was supposed to go to Penn State locked down. Everyone thinks he's going to Penn State, and all of a sudden he flips to Auburn and he's bringing all his buddies. Obviously, they didn't really take anybody from Penn State, but he's just
I mean,
been probably one of their biggest recruiters.
he kind of used Penn State to just, I feel like he used Penn State to try to get a better offer from Auburn because he was always I think it was always probably going to go to Alabama or
I was not
Yeah,
expecting.
yeah,
Auburn.
yeah. Auburn.
Yeah.
Well, it's Alabama native.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, playing down there and 1A ball. I mean, it didn't like when he first committed. It was very interesting. It was like, oh, he's coming up to Penn State, like. But yeah, I think that was kind of the case with him. I think Messiah Mickens is a lot different, so we'll kind of see how that is. And obviously, you have Mickens in 2026, but you also have Keemon Spell, who was the number one player in the state for 2027. So it'll be very interesting to see how Penn State shapes out its 2026 recruiting class. Obviously, you have some visits that'll be coming up in June and everything. So we'll just be tuned to see what's going to happen. Well, that's all we have for today. For more coverage, visit us at psucollegian.com and follow us on socials. We'll see you next time.